Another Victory Monday, another Mike Giardi Monday, another Pats and Affairs podcast, part of the distinguished, dapper, discerning, daring, dedicated, dazzling CLNS Media Network. Patriots win 25-19. You and I did not travel. We'll get to that a little bit later. But I enjoyed this game.
It was fun. There was a lot happening. I think, as we'll get into here with the film, there's a lot of things you looked at and go, eesh, it could be better. There's a lot of things that need to be done. But I think I said before this game, I don't really care how you won. Like, just back up what you did against Buffalo. Keep the line moving, if you will. Continue to win. And they did that. So, there were some style points offensively, but in general, it's just like get out of there with a dub. And they did. And that's, 3 in a row now, matching the 4 wins of the last 2 years. I mean, it's a pretty good place to be here in the middle of October.
This game was right up your alley. Like, you could still be cranky, but
Yes.
They win. Maye has a good game. We've got stuff to talk about, as we always do, obviously, on a Mike Giardi Monday. We're going to go through all the film, why they won, how Maye played, the stuff you missed on offense, because this is back in the title today. And there is so much here that I have from like a play calling standpoint, some of the offensive line stuff, some of the defensive stuff, and the adjustments that they made. So you can go like, hey, the Patriots won by 6 in New Orleans. They were favored by 3.5. And big picture, like, to me, it was important that it was not a letdown. You did not play down to your opponent. And you didn't get furious with the worst officiated game I'd ever called. And we're going to do that, but also dive into the minutia. And let's just hit on the officiating right away and get settled.
Yes. Well, you and I texted, right? You texted me and I was like, I just don't do it very often. Like, very rarely do I want to just go on social media or even like when I'm writing a story, like talk about the officiating. Cause like the guys are still deciding it. There was so many freaking bad calls. I mean, just mind boggling stuff. Like, I honestly, like that reminds me of something Big Jim Murray would say on the afternoon show. He's like, put him in jail. He wants all the referees put in jail. He thinks they're all crooked. Well, after this game, I don't know how you doesn't that just a little like, what were you guys betting on this game? What the hell was happening?
I would not trust Adrian Hill to house it for me. Like, I don't have kids. I will soon. And I would not trust him with any of that. His whole crew, he couldn't even stand in the right direction to announce it to the TVs. There was an instance where he was about to announce the penalty with the camera was on the back of his head and his ass as he's talking somewhere else. Like, oh, no. Oh, I got to say this.
He got turned around. It was kind of like his excuse when he did the pool report to Mike Reese, which I still don't understand. I don't know what you were saying. You had time to come up with a story. At least come up with something that, hey, would you believe this if I told you this? And the other guys go, yeah, go with that one. That wasn't a good one.
It was a lead my column. Like, look, we have Amelia Earhart. We have Jimmy Hoffa. And then we have whatever evidence there is that was offensive pass interference. They're just things that will never be found and mysteries that will never be solved. The one thing I'll add to this, because I tweeted a lot of those clips and was like, oh my God, at the point I was like, does my feed look like I'm a homer right now? Because I had the same no excuses attitude as you with refereeing. Like, I just think it's a waste of everyone's time. I get why we're mad. I was mad. I wasn't rooting for the team. I just said, this is bad. And then Bob Ryan, the legend, living legend, to have his book, read it for like everybody else, years and years. Twitter yelled at me. And for a split second there, I wanted to go hibernate with all the Bears and not see you or the sunshine until March or April because he's the best. And so, I don't know. Like, let's wrap on the big picture here because you ready for an analogy that I'm just going to stretch so incredibly thin?
Sure. Go for it.
Okay. So, in the sense of like these games we've been used to the last 4 or 5 years, okay? But the Patriots would lose these, right? And now they finally start to win these again. This weekend had an awesome family event, and it was with my in-laws, make a bunch of raviolis, everyone gets together, there's an assembly line, everyone leaves with a ton of food, like very Italian event, start drinking wine at 10 a.m., not self-included, go have a good time. And at some point, either that day or the night before, for the folks in this family that were listening, there was a discussion had where everyone's sitting down about supermarkets, okay? And everyone's like, oh, Costco. Oh, did you get Costco? Like, oh, love Costco. Then someone goes, I'm at Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's. It's like guys naming old baseball players from the 90s sitting around, guys naming dudes. Someone goes, oh, Whole Foods. Oh, I'm not really sure about Whole Foods. There was one person there who is my wife's first cousin once removed. 15-year-old girl freshman in high school. And she didn't say a word, but I knew exactly what she was thinking, which is, what the F are you guys talking about? I will never sit around discussing Costco versus Trader Joe's. Oh, you got to go early. Yeah, these days are busy. Oh, I got such a great deal. This is the most boring thing I've ever heard of. And yet, there I was, someone who was once 15, thinking the same thing as she did 20 years ago, going, oh my God, I'm doing it. She was every Patriots fan watching these games for 20 years. The last 5 years was me going, oh my God, I'm actually doing it. You're losing, you're playing these games. Now, thankfully, all of us get to be Benjamin Button and go back and say, the Patriots can play a bad team. They can have bad officiating. They can be on the road and all these different things happen. And they're going to be the calmer, more disciplined, better football team. And they get out of there with a win. Hands clean. That was refreshing to me.
Yeah, and it's sort of the sign of the growth. Like I said, it wasn't about how they won so much as just winning. Like, just escape with the win and like continue to build that confidence and build the program that Vrabel, has and his staff have started, whatever it is, 8 months ago, and just continue that trend of, like, as I said last week, proof of concept, right? Like, keep telling you how we're going to win. And maybe it doesn't always come true, but then we're finding ways to win. We're winning. Now you're winning some games in the margins. Like, that's really important for a football team that, again, I'll say it, still isn't as talented. Like, there's still an offseason away from being what I think they want to be, but you're winning games in the interim with what you have. And that says a lot about what you're building. And, obviously some of the key guys that we're going to get into that are on your football team that are making a lot of plays.
So here are the big stats. We always do the big five, and we always remind you, if you want your questions answered, just drop in the chat right now. We'll be monitoring, and at the end, Mike and I will have Let Me Have It, our segment where we hold back. There's one little thing the other guy said. Then we pocket it, and we pull it out and just yell at the end of the show. And then right after that, we get to your mailbag questions. But big picture, turnovers. Here are the 5 things. Patriots had 0. Big goose egg. Saints had 1. Explosive play rate. Patriots 8.6%. Pretty good. Saints 5.9%. That is a sneaky big number for this defense. And even against a non-explosive offense, you just had to make them earn it. Success rate, Patriots 49%, Saints 46%, about even. Red zone efficiency, Pats 0 for 1, Saints 1 for 2. And these 2 numbers were the most surprising before I got to the rewatch. Defensive pressure rate. Patriots got to 40% per my charting, and numbers from this are all over the place, by the way. One of the most strangely graded and charted games for PFF I've ever come across. The Saints, though, and I agree with PFF on this exactly, 48.4% pressure rate. And this wasn't the Buffalo game last week where you're like, yeah, there were some breakdowns or generic like pocket closing. That's your fault, Morgan Moses. Well, Campbell, you got to hold on a little bit longer. Garrett Bradbury, come on. Hurries. And, of course, that leads us to Drake Maye, who I think these next 2 segments are one of the same. Why did they win? And how did Drake play?
Yeah, I thought he was phenomenal again. It was interesting. I think as he continues to grow, the thing that I've been most impressed by, because the physical stuff is awesome. Like we got crazy about it last year because he would do things and you're like, oh, that ball he uncorked down the sidelines, the Kayshon Boutte, or this run, or the play against Tennessee to tie the game. Like, oh my God, there's not a ton of guys that can do that. But his mental growth, really since Pittsburgh, and again, we could include Pittsburgh, Andrew. We could include Pittsburgh, if not for the 2 turnovers, has been off the charts. Like, I go back, that first game, I think I said 14 plays where I had like, against the Raiders, where I said like inaccurate throw, bad decision, whatever it was, and even balls can be completed. I don't think I have 14 in the last 3 games total, which says a lot about how he's playing, the confidence with which he's playing, the confidence that they have in him now, as Mike Vrabel said. And obviously you got to trust the quarterback. He's got the ball in his hands, but like, you can play conservatively with your quarterback and claim you trust him. They're not playing conservatively. They trust him to go out and do it, and he's doing it. He's doing it at an incredibly high level. He's doing it efficiently, and he's making all the right goddamn choices, and that is like so impressive from where we were, 3-4 weeks ago.
Don't curse now. You just lost about 25% of your base there with that comment, which came to your defense last week because they didn't like me cursing. And I'm gonna try to go clean here. But I think I might have said ass once, which is like always like
yeah. I mean, I
think you hear ass in PG movies. I'm almost bored with how we have to talk about him now, which sounds so remarkably spoiled, but not in the sense of I'm over the Drake Maye experience, right? This is now 2 years of going, this kid is good. He's going to be great. Just wait and watch. Okay. And I feel so vindicated. Don't need to remind anyone ever again that you, me, Phil Perry, Nate Tice, whomever else are at the front of the hype train. But there's just something to be said for a guy who is no longer tested by defenses like these. And I don't mean, oh, Brandon Staley's going to play cover 6 and he'll spin down to cover 3. And you just got to sift that out. It's a guy who needs to be tested by the best defenses in the league. And he'll have bad games and he'll slip up because that's what young players do. But here are some numbers. Against the blitz, right? Problems for quarterbacks. Can you get the ball out quickly? Can you do it accurately? Do you know where you're going to go? 7 of 9 for 89 yards, a touchdown, and 1 scramble for May. Okay? Man-to-man coverage. This is what Bill Belichick played against Tom Brady when he came back. This is what Bill Belichick played against Patrick Mahomes year after year after year. Drake Maye, 7 of 9, 114 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Like, there's a part of the disguise, which, by the way, there was no low-hanging fruit here, or very little of it, I should say, for Maye, and that their play-action rate went down almost in half with McDaniels, which I think is smart because you turn your back, the picture changes with the changing safeties, takes you a little bit longer. That's fine. He got this done with just traditional quarterback notes that he played perfectly from the pocket on time accurately. And then off platform with all those hurries that we just talked about, like, oh, it's like the 5 Ds of dodgeball. And then the last one is just like dominate and dunk on you downfield with these giant throws. Like this, it was just awesome. So when I say I'm bored, I'm not actually bored. I'm excited to see him be tested in a way that will show us more than what he did against Carolina. And then on Buffalo is obviously different, but not a great defense. And now obviously New Orleans.
He made some just absolute killer throws when he was on the move. I'm thinking about the one in particular. I think it was 3rd down and Mac Hollins, sort of a deep crossing pattern where he was under pressure and he kind of threw it a little bit crossbody, like he was on one hash. And it was just like, you see the reaction of the Saints players afterwards. It's like, oh, God dang it. Like we were right there. Like we had it. We got him off the field. And then, it's just like, that's the kind of stuff that, as I've said here in recent weeks repeatedly, like the Patriots players know they got a dude now. They look at him like he's going to make the plays. Like we believe. And now the other guys are like, damn it. What we saw on tape is legit. He's real. And like, he's doing backbreaking things to us when we have you on the cusp. Like his success rate in some of these 3rd and long situations over the last few weeks has been awesome. Like, again, I don't have I'm sure I have the particular numbers, but like those plays are so backbreaking for a defense. You're like, we got him right where we want him. We're going to get a punt. It's going to be 3 and out. And next thing you know, the damn drives continued. That was an 18-yard play. That was a 20-yard play. Now we're at midfield. Like, Jesus, like, how can we get off the field against this guy? And then that leads you to the next part of that question, the next part of that is like, Josh Allen does this. Justin Herbert does this stuff. Like this is the sort of the conversation, the air that he is, it's still early, but the air that he is starting to breathe in a little bit is right there.
He's poking his head out. He's
he's a
dog. He's a little prairie dog. He's just, what's up? What's up, Josh? Hey, Justin. It's good. You got some room over there? Yeah. I'll come hang out. Again, I said it earlier, 48.4% pressure rate. And these are not all gigantic sacks. These are not gigantic QB hits, but just you're uncomfortable half of the time that you drop back. And you go and have a game where your EPA, by the way, at halftime, for the folks who get into the numbers, 17 points. Yeah. Expected points added. You have just, as a quarterback, given 17 points, and you're averaging over 1 EPA per play in the first half. Anyway, 18-26 for 261, 3 touchdowns, 12-yard scrambling, accuracy percentage over 83%. So just everything off the charts. The other cool part about this game was he got back to his roots a little bit. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about the discipline, and is he going to be able to play in the pocket? Is he going to know when to risk a turnover, when to extend a play, and when not to? He just got to extend plays and throw deep. 4 or 5 for 128, all 3 touchdowns, longer than 20 yards. And some of them were by design, the corner out to Booty. I think it was right before the half. That was against man coverage. And then you had the other one where they had the screen right to Stephon Diggs. Nice play call for McDaniel. So I got stuff for you, Josh. And then that's covered. So he's got a bail left. And that's the off platform. Let me see if I can give my guy a chance. And that was Booty's first touchdown. Like all the hallmarks you knew about him as a college prospect, it's cool to see him be mature. I also want to see the dude we all marveled at in college and be like, they are one of the same now.
It's about striking that balance, right? Which we kept talking about. Like, how do you do it? And when Kurt Warner on the pod, he's like, the hardest thing for athletic quarterbacks is like, you got to win from the pocket. And it's so easy for some of these guys to get out of the pocket, and they've been doing it their whole lives. And like, can you play within that structure? And when you can find that balance, like Lamar was a struggle from the pocket early in his career. And I remember, I think it was the COVID year or maybe the year after. And Devin McCourty was like, he's a different dude now. Like what you remember him as, like now if you keep him in the pocket, he'll burn you there too. Like he'll consistently beat you from that pocket. So now it's like, oh, do I feel like just taking the 7-yard play, or do I want to run around and either keep it myself or let somebody else get loose down the field and make it happen? And that's what you're seeing. And again, it's a small sample size, but it's enough to make you feel good about it. I asked Vrabel today, by the way, about the little pitch to Trevion Henderson, where when you're watching it, and then when I was watching over again, I'm like, is that no, yes type situation? And Vrabel's like, you don't. It was a good answer, I thought, or a relatively good answer, or at least whatever, where he's talking about like, you don't want to take that part of it out of him when you start to get, some of those schoolyard plays where like that's part of who he is, and you don't want to neuter that. You just want to control it. And it feels like over the last few weeks that they found that sort of fine line, and they're walking it perfectly.
Might have to neuter ourselves the way we talk about this game.
I know, seriously.
Especially for you. I mean, it's not like out of character, but like it's just a lot. He's great. Everyone should be thrilled. I said it early. For some folks, he's a franchise quarterback. I don't think anyone, like you look, all the deep metrics, all the regular stuff, top 5, top 10, top 5, top 10, he's there. And it's, I don't need to argue anymore. Just defense rest. Ready to get to the big offensive plan? Because this is what we do. What the plan was, what you missed, and then we'll go to defense.
Yeah, do it.
Drake. Okay. I think Josh McDaniels reflected exactly what his offense did on the field. I think he started really hot, and then I think he went ice cold. This is a game they primarily wanted to play in their two most common personnel groupings. You got 11, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back, 12, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, 2 receivers. Okay. Their success rate in 11 with the 3 receivers was much higher. And that's not just because you got big explosive plays. It's just how are you staying on schedule? 61% success rate at 11 personnel, much like the week before. It's by far your best. And they dabble with some 2-back stuff, and they were in the pistol ones, whatever. He is isolating the Saints corners and safeties, as we all saw in the play action throws, and the aforementioned corner route to Booty. Very well done. Very nicely done. On the ground, they tried to, and for a little bit succeeded, with these man-blocked runs. You see power, the pulling guard, because against defenses like the Saints who want to play too high and sometimes rotate, but mostly too high structure, that gives you a numbers advantage because they're in a light box. And when you add one from one side and pull them on the other, you got numbers. That's a good thing. Not only that, his play action shots, which again, only 22%, which is low for the season. That might be their season low, or at least lowest since the opener.
Yeah.
Same run actions. You saw Jared Wilson pulling a lot, which was good. And he used Diggs as a decoy, which we covered, and then a couple tendency breakers with Demario Douglas. And that all sets up very well against a defense that you expect to score against. The second half, though, this is it's like, what happened to him? First of all, tell me if you've heard this high of a rate before in terms of a passing tell. Okay. When they were in shotgun, and I would bet you anything the Saints were looking at these numbers at halftime, but this is for the full game. When the Patriots were in shotgun, they threw the ball 92% of the time. That's 24 to 26 plays. When they were under center, which is always going to be more running the ball, 72% run rate. And when they were in 11, that efficient personnel grouping, okay, spread it out, get pop on the field, get Matt Collins or Stephon Diggs, 84% pass rate. So this was very often as simple for the Saints as just, where's Drake Maye? Is he under center? Boom. If he's in the shot, if he's in the gun, that's it. 24 to 26 plays. You rarely see that from Josh, but that is a huge obvious tell that every team is looking at.
Well, I go back to what you were saying, though, first about how the Saints play and the idea of with the play action rate being reduced because you don't want to turn your back. So you're not seeing how the safeties are playing it. You're not getting that quick tell on it. If that was part of if this is just part of the Drake Maye first year in my program, and we're going to there's going to be baby steps on this part, and this maybe was a little bit of a baby step aspect to the game. That said, that's a telling number, and there's no way that they don't sit back there. I'm sure they knew it last night, and I'm sure they've talked about it already. Like, we can't be that much of a tell. We can't have that much of a tell. If we do that, Tennessee's defense is okay. Cleveland's defense is real. Whether they want to keep playing in 2 weeks, I don't know, because once again, they don't have a quarterback, but that's a different story for a different day. But like, those will be the things where you face a team like that, you probably can't give it away that much, because someone like Jim Schwartz with Myles Garrett and those types, they'll eat against you.
And about those three numbers I gave, like the 92% pass rate from shotgun is the biggest one. Like, you're under center and you're running between 60, 70% of the time. You're like a lot of teams in the league. So 72, not a big deal. Okay, you're in 11 passing situations, late in the game, whatever. Down in distance might matter a little bit more. 84% still high for 11 personnel in terms of your pass rate, but 92% just based on where Drake Maye is way too high. Here is arguably the worst part, though. And you got to tell your boss, Greg, to put on the earmuffs, because I'm really bringing it to his guy, Josh, here. And I just don't want to do that to you. I don't want you to put you in the middle of.
I'm the kid in the middle now.
Yeah. Why the hell were they running on first down as often as they were at the end? 29% success rate when they ran the ball on first down, which is just to say, get 5. How often are you staying on schedule? And it's not like, oh, you want to kill the clock passing. If you have an incompletion, stops the clock, not great. You know what their success rate was passing on first down?
Off the charts.
80%. Like, we covered how well Drake was playing.
Yeah.
I understand the inherent risk of stopping the clock and whatever. 80% throwing on first down. And especially if you got them under center, right? Given what we had just shared. Instead, they're going their last 5 first downs combined to gain 1 yard. They netted 1 yard on those last 5 first down runs. And you're just
it was brutal.
Yeah.
The questions have, we've been sort of dialed in on the run game when talking to Mike and Josh the last couple of weeks. I thought Karen Garrigan had an interesting question just about, because we were talking about it beforehand, about like Ramondre's running defensively now, where he's so concerned about putting the ball on the ground that he talk about walking a line. He's not walking the fine line of being the athlete that he is, being the aggressive runner that he is, versus now, like, I've got to make sure that I don't lose the football again because I keep letting my football team down. And I think he's running a little bit defensively. And I think, we dialed up the numbers. I think they were, prior to this week, they were 13th in terms of yards before contact. So the offensive line was doing a decent job. We both looked at that first game against the Raiders. They didn't move a soul, but there's been opportunities since, and the running backs generally haven't taken advantage of it. I don't know what the numbers are now after this. It felt like there was less there in this game against the Saints than there's been. And we're now 6 weeks in. I said, if you can't run against the Bills, who can you run against? Well, they couldn't run against the Bills. And I was like, oh, actually, if you can't run against the Saints, then you got a prop. Well, they couldn't run against the Saints. Ramondre, 13 carries, 18 yards.
Well, the Saints now are 4th in EPA when it comes to run defense. So, like, we all know there's a give and take. You play the Patriots, your run defense probably going to look better the next day. Feel real good. And if you're the Patriots run offense, like, you're probably going down against a defense that can kind of just hold its gaps. And old pal Devon Godchow. I don't know if he'll be appearing at Garrett Bradbury and Jarrett Wilson's nightmares anytime soon. Like, they're sleeping well. They won the football game. But those matchups didn't go great. So, but to put a number on the whole run offense, they're the worst rush offense in the league right now by EPA. And if you don't like EPA, how about 4th worst by yards per carry? Oh, and I got one more, because I always have one more. They got stuffed on 35% of their runs. That to me was just can you just fall forward? Can you just get 3 feet? But you're right, because this is not totally in Wilson, Bradbury, the line. Like, there are deeper numbers with the backs that say, you forget like contact and broken tackles. Like, it's just Trevin Henderson I praised as being very patient a couple of weeks ago. And he was. I don't know where that guy was.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because you talk about the offensive line. How many times has Vrabel said, sometimes it's 10 guys doing the right thing and one guy doesn't? 2 examples of that in the game. I mean, there are plenty, but I'll just give you 2 that jump out. Stephon Diggs was responsible for a couple run stuffs. Just did a crappy job, got blown up. his guy ends up making the play or forcing it into someone else to make the play at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. And it's like, I know that's what you didn't bring him here to block, but like, dude, maybe if you make that block, maybe we're talking differently. Maybe there's a little bit more life there in the run game. And that's what it's been. It's one game, it's Mac Hollins missing a block here or there. Like they haven't put it together and they have to remain patient with it because you just can't completely throw it away. But boy, it sure would be nice to cobble together even just a league average rushing attack at this point. Just like what would that do? Because clearly, as we've talked about with Drake, like he's dealing. And a lot of the stuff that he's doing off some of the run action stuff, but then you throw that in there and have a little bit more success with it, would just make him more dangerous.
Well, not just more dangerous. Like they're 6 weeks in. In a week or two, we're going to say confidently, and some people are doing this right now. You lose at Tennessee, people might have questions. Like the season declares in late October. Teams know who they are in late October or what they could be, right? And with the Patriots, you see the outline. You might have, by the end of the season, statistically, a top 10 quarterback. You do have a head coach that's driving winning for you and getting everyone going in the right direction. Big upset at Buffalo. 2-1 challenges in New Orleans. Okay. Everything else is going on with Vrabel. Only 2 missed tackles on defense, by the way. So the big thing that we're going, where's the good coaching? I don't see the good coaching. It's getting better.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a defense that is, for now, right below average, but they're excellent against the run. And they're just doing the please don't pass, but if you have to, just like keep it short, which was all of Vrabel's defenses in Tennessee. And you're going, all of that you can win with. You can make a surprise run of the playoffs with that. You cannot, though, with the worst run offense in the league. So that's what's at stake. You can probably sneak in with this team as it's currently constructed. And they've got a lot of time to get better and a lot of young linemen. But the stakes are, you believe in yourselves. All we got is all we need. All you need to make an AFC championship game, if you really want to get crazy, is to bring that run game up to league average, because then it's not who's stopping you, but you just go in going, we're going to get 17 or 20 here today. And it almost doesn't matter.
Look at you talking about AFC championship games.
I said, if we want to get crazy, let's get crazy. But we're not even drinking on this episode.
Well, let's speak for yourself. I messaged Taylor Kyles, our colleague here at CLNS, at some point last night, and I said, I'm gonna have to get ahead of this. I'm gonna have to apologize to you. I was rolling my eyes at your 12 and 13 wins, and then, I don't know, the way the schedule looks, they keep playing like this, So I'm not ahead of it, Taylor. My bad.
Not yet. Not about Taylor.
I know, but it's trending in the direction.
4-2. Okay, you hit on this quickly, and I have the numbers to back it up. Which again, people don't like all these advanced stats. We got the regular numbers for you here too. According to the next gen stats, because look, the blocking is what it is. All the interior linemen had to run stuff. Stephon Diggs had to run stuff. Stevenson tripped at the line, and you got a couple of the line gets collapsed. Blocking's not been good. Travion Henderson, though, right now, according to the next gen stats, is the least efficient runner in football. He is gaining 1.2 yards below expectation based on the GPS location of where his blockers are, where the defense is, how many defenders there are in the box, all that stuff accounted for. You should be getting X. He is getting X minus 1.2 according to the next gen stats. That, again, I thought was not remedied because he's a young player and you have your ups and downs. But you could see it where there's just a wall, and instead of kind of dancing, waiting patiently, he's just running straight into it. And that's got to change, because that explains the broken tackle numbers where he had one and Ramondre Stevenson had one. And as far as the running backs go, that was it.
Yeah, I know you probably get the same thing. Like people, hey, I have friends of mine, like, just why isn't Henderson why? I'm like, guys, I get it. He was awesome this summer. He hasn't been awesome this season. And it's by no means are we saying that he's damned, it's not going to work, he's not a player, they wasted a draft pick. None of that stuff. We're 6 games in, but through 6 games, he hasn't been efficient. He hasn't been very effective. Obviously, they're telling you a lot about it with Ramondre and his fumbling things, that they keep bringing Ramondre back out there, that they trust him more than they do Trevion. And like, he's got to get better, and hopefully it does slow down for him a little bit and he picks his spots a little bit better. But again, through 6 weeks, it's what you said. There's a lot of running into contact, a lot of it.
Yeah. finish on the offensive line. Then I'm going to go to receivers and we'll move on to defense. Because I know I've been very happy, proud. Feels like a little distant, proud papa. Like, from afar watching Kayshon Boutte, who I've already literally, quote unquote, eaten crow on this podcast about.
Yeah.
So I too am happy for him. Morgan Moses, I had down for 4 hurries. So when we talk about the pressure rate, where those came from, Jared Wilson 3 and Will Campbell 2. Everyone else was 1. That can be expected. That was standard. Moses and Wilson were the issues here today. Do you have anything else on Wilson? Because there were more blown blocks than the 3 pressures I had in the 1 run stuff, where like he just gets it cleanly and then May gets the ball out and you're like, no harm, no foul. But the grading as far as the coaching will go, we'll say that's down.
Yeah, I mean, I had him for 9 negative plays. The next closest guy was, both Bradbury and Campbell at 6. And there's a lot of that in the run game. A couple times physically not holding up at the point of attack. You mentioned Devon Godchow pushed him back a couple times. It's also an inability at times to get to the second level. And, when you're talking about the difference between a 2-yard run and a 5-yard run, or a 4-yard run and an 8-yard run, it's him getting to that second level. And several times just couldn't get there, either got tied up or his feet just weren't moving fast enough. And we're nitpicking all these little things about the run game. That's another thing where like there were a couple opportunities there to have decent gains. I'm not talking explosive plays, but just decent gains if he can get to his block or doesn't fall off a block. And he did. And that's, again, to be expected. He's a rookie, pretty loud environment, et cetera, in New Orleans, but not a great game.
No, not a good one. In case you're just joining us, first of all, thank you for hanging out. Second of all, if you have a question, drop it in the comments. We will get to the mailbag at the end. Mike will yell at me. I will yell at him. And then we will calmly answer all the questions that we have. Well, maybe not all of them. We do 5 or 6. You got a question, whatever it is, drop it in now. And tell the people, like, preach from the book of Boutte here, okay? Which may or may not be a porno. But, like, as far as Kayshon goes, tell me what was so good about this. Because all 5 catches go for first downs, including the 2 touchdowns. It's man coverage. They're contested catches. I guess I'm reading the opening lines here, but I'll stop and you go because you know and love receiver play.
Well, so the touchdown when he wins the jump ball, if you will, with Kool-Aid McKinstry, inside release, a lot of hand fighting, a lot of contact, and would have been easy to sort of just, all right, I've taken my guy out of the play, but the ball's not coming in my direction. He fought to get over the top of him and quote unquote stack him. And as Drake steps up into the pocket, it was an easier throw to Hunter Henry, but it was like, I trust my guy in these spots. And I think that's something that's critical. And Boutte talked about it after the game. Like, we trust him to make the plays. He's trusting us to make the plays. He put the ball up there and said, go get it. And he got it. It was just a really physical, strong play. He said himself, like, I'm not the fastest guy. I'm not the quickest guy. I have to win with some of my strength and size. And he did. Same thing on the, what essentially is the game-killing play, the third down completion on the back shoulder. Just physicality. It's like he posted him up a little bit there, like give him a little bit of the ass, strong hands. And then what I love about him, you want to talk about learning? Obviously, you remember his first year. Twice he couldn't get his feet in bounds against Philadelphia in a game that they could have won and lost in the opener with Mac Jones. And then we never saw him again the rest of the year, basically. Whole shot against Buffalo, stays in bounds, keeps the clock running. In this case, gets his feet down, gets his ass down. Knew, like, we want to keep the clock going here. Just a really smart play. Like, I don't know what his ceiling is. Like, some people, he's just a nice player, man. He's making plays for this team. And to his credit, to Pop Douglas's credit, their name's not getting called a bunch, but they're staying ready. They're staying involved. And then when their name did get called for Pop in the last couple of weeks, and obviously for Boutte at any point this year when they throw it to him, he's making the plays.
I want to get you a T-shirt that just says Kayshon Boutte's ass because I think those are 3.
He gave him a little of the ass, a little cheek.
No, but it's such a good call because if this team wants to be a Vrabel team, which it is, but then you have to play like it. And I was, writing after the game, like, we're all going to look at Tennessee and talk about how Vrabel got fired and what the situation is there. And I'm like, forget the talking points. Like, look at the walk that those Titans walked because the Patriots are taking the same steps in their shoes, in their footsteps, meaning you're a tough, smart, situationally good team. Again, you saw the challenges that were won here, and that play in particular with a young player who's been boneheaded before, and that even goes back to questions as a prospect. He has matured, Kayshon Boutte has, as a player, and as much as I can tell, little I can as a person, more than any young player I can remember since I started covering the team. And that's a total credit to him. And I think being in this environment comes at the right time for him, who showed signs last year, but was also the same dude calling out his offensive coordinator after losses. Where it's like, man, we could have gotten you the ball 50 more times, we still would have lost. Like that's not what this is about. He knows what this is about now, and you can tell by plays like that, especially coming off of a couple of weeks where he had 3 catches in Buffalo. I don't think he had that many versus Carolina or Pittsburgh, and now bounces back, or Miami for that matter. Yeah. And is doing big things in a huge spot, and of course back at home. Great for him.
Yeah, I love the like I said, being ready. Like they've talked about it, but he's actually walking the walk and doing it. And I loved his comments after the game, Andrew. To your point about the maturity, some guys when it's always somebody else's fault, right? Like I didn't pan out at LSU. You could say, well, it was the coaching staff and the change and the quarter, like whatever. No, he's like, for 3 or 4 years, I wasn't in the best place, and I'm out of that now. Like I went through some adversity. I'm on the other side, and I give him credit because, the gambling stuff, LSU was so happy to get him gone. Like, remember he was going to stay, and then he ended up going, and they were like, there was a parade on Bourbon Street. They were so excited he wasn't going to be there.
Come on.
And well, to his credit, like he's come a long way in the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's a lot more in shape. Him and Stephon Diggs had all the catches that May made completions for. Like whenever it was man coverage, they had a completion, it was going to those two, which says a lot about the trust and obviously some of the matchup piece. But like, who are your best receivers? The guys who make more catches than everybody else against man coverage. Coaches get you open versus zone. Players get open on their own versus man. You saw that. Pop Douglas, by the way, everyone wanted to throw him away. And the Patriots did for a little bit. I think he only played 14 snaps, okay? And that might have been his high for the last 3 weeks. I don't know the number. Forgive me. What I do know is it is awesome to see him run that route as well as he did on that touchdown. One of the best of his career, okay? 53 yards down the middle. We all watched in the opening drive. And for them to also get him in space. So, like, you had the tendency breaker. You took the shot. It went as you wanted, but you also know who this guy is. And I just think his yards after catch, which I said time and again, is the low-hanging fruit that they cannot ignore as good as they've been passing the ball over time. You need that easy stuff. And you saw it on a bubble, and you saw it on a quick out. And then he just does the rest because he can do that in a way that no other guy can. So when you get him involved with Diggs and Boutte, we're going to be a little more tight window pass catchers. Give me the jitterbug who in space is an automatic 5 more yards because that's what he was again.
Second week in a row with the sort of the bubble / swing, if you will, to him. And then Kyle Williams on both plays, making a nice block for him in front. Credit to the rookie. But, like, get him the ball in space and let him move a little bit because he is quick. And I think we talked about that during the course of the summer as we got into the season. Where, like, he's a different slot than, because everyone's the Jots in the slot machine, like all the slot receivers that he's had. He's different. They tried to access him this summer on 3 different levels. Like, that's not what they were doing with Wes. That's not what they were doing with Julian. He's a different kind of guy. He's not really that. He doesn't really necessarily fit the hole that people were trying to put him in. But if you can figure out ways to get him in that space, he's capable of taking advantage.
So we haven't talked about the tight ends. I know we said we'd end on the receivers, but us not talking about the tight ends got us in a little bit of trouble, I heard. I didn't think this was a great Austin Hooper game. I think you still saw some toughness there from Hunter Henry, but also some of the second level blocks where you're like, you strain a little bit. You get a little more urgent getting there and hold it. Again, things I can never do. Like, let's remind ourselves of that every once in a while. As I say it like this is easy, just to go take Tamar Davis and move this, several time whatever Pro Bowler and say, you're going over here now. Not great from them. But part of it is circumstance, part of it is game plan matchups. It's just like the reason we haven't started or gone in the middle or ended with them is it's kind of what it was, as I saw it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get any messages about leaving the tight ends off the studs and duds off the studs list. I will say, and I know, like, look, you have to present different looks to a defense, but I swear, anytime you take a tight end and tell him to block an edge of, say, Chase Young or Cam Jordan or Carl Granderson, you don't win. You don't. It's a pressure. It's a guaranteed pressure. And that happened again in the game off of Hooper. And I think he was supposed to have maybe some help from Will Campbell, but I don't know if he got beat so fast that Will couldn't do anything to help him or what, but that didn't go well. So I'd like them to launch that play into the sun.
Yeah, there's smaller stuff. It's just not worth my time. I don't know. I'm looking at
Yeah,
when they were in 12. Like it just doesn't really matter. And sometimes they're in 12 and it's third and long. I'm like, who are you fooling? This is not a jump ball. So, all right, I got it out of my system. Did we miss anything else? Did we miss anything to tell the people what they missed? Matt Collins, by the way. Look, we put the officiating to bed. I'm going to wake it up now a little bit. Say I'm sorry. I know he said you could go away. You could go to sleep. The OPI and digs, I tweeted it out. You see that every single week and almost every single deep ball. The non-call, though, on Matt Collins in the play after Maye was just like, F it. It's 3rd and 270 miles.
Shoulder pad.
Just all over him.
Yeah.
And that ball was close. So, again, we lather Maye up with all these, all this praise. Like, plays that didn't count are almost as impressive as the ones that do. But, yeah, he got robbed. That's tough. Because he's doing a lot of dirty work.
Yeah, that was a complete hose job. That was a nasty, just, again, as we mentioned, one of about 17 different calls that didn't make any sense, or non-calls. That one did not make any sense. I'll give you one other thing. I mentioned Kyle Williams drew a pass interference or defensive hold, I forget, on one of his routes. He and Drake clearly weren't on the same page. And another one, Drake fired to his left. I think he wanted him to settle, and he sort of drifted a little bit, which, they haven't had a ton of reps together in game time. But as I mentioned, the block. And I'll give Ramondre Stevenson a lot of credit. Blitz pickup several times, including late in the game on the play to Booty, right, where he got pushed, but stayed in front of the guy, held his ground enough to allow Maye to get the throw off. So 18 yards rushing, not great, but still contributing in other ways.
I'm glad you brought that up because I tweeted about this. And again, I have my notes. I don't want to be influenced by what I see on PFF, but I'm going to go there for the missed tackle numbers. Like the small menial stuff I'm not going to chart, but I'm going to credit them for. I will chart the pressures and the pass block and all this different stuff. And I have him down for a hurry where he dives at Demario Davis, who's also diving. And because Demario Davis flies like Superman at Drake Maye, you're like, okay, that's a pressure. But Stevenson had a good cut block. Anyway, he's passing off a stunt, which I tweeted this clip with Will Campbell, which I never see from a guy who's just in blitz pickup. Super physical, stuck his nose in every time. Stuff you can't say about every running back. That's why he's playing a lot more. Okay. Now I think we got to everything.
Yes. Got it.
But we might have to change up some part of my later week episodes because I got to tell you, we are on a cold streak with PrizePicks. And I thought I was gold this week. Chris Olave, more than 4.5 catches. Boom. Locked it in. Nick Underhill was a huge help. I'm looking at the Saints defense being like, they're the worst defense in the league against number 1 receivers. Stephon Diggs had 100 yards last week. Hit 100 yards the week before. Why shouldn't I take Stephon Diggs more than 4.5 catches? Well, one of them was robbed thanks to Adrian Hill and company. Anyway, if you want to win money and your name's not Andrew Callahan as you watch sports, go to PrizePicks because PrizePicks has not only supported this podcast, it is the easiest, simplest, best way to win cash anywhere. I don't care all the places, all the companies, all the whatever's trying to get your attention, the apps. PrizePicks is it because it's literally that simple. You pick your own players. You pick the stats. You can change the stats if you think it's too high or you think it's too low based on what you know about the Patriots, based on what we share here in this podcast, and hopefully what Giardi will start to share so we can get out of this cold streak. But the bottom line is you can only do this at PrizePicks where you just build a lineup with the players and the stats, go between 2 and 6. There's Venmo, there's live support, instant withdrawals, instant deposit, super easy. Everything you want, any sport, basketball coming up, by the way, is all at PrizePicks. And here's the best part. If you download the PrizePicks app today and you use code CLNS, you can get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. That reminds me, I do not think the Celtics season is going to go well, but I do think it'll go well when early in the year, I don't know if PrizePicks is factored in, like that they're going to play so fast and it's going to be nonstop and Peyton Pritchard is going to average a bazillion threes per game. Give me more than threes for him, Sam Hauser, Jaylen Brown before they start to catch on with their algorithm because they've already broadcast. We are 6 seconds or less Phoenix Suns. Oh, we are hot in your tail. We're not even going to get to 20 of the shot clock.
Joe Mazzulla is so excited to just lean into this thing. I'll show you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, you thought we shot too many threes last year? Screw. we're gonna set an NBA record this year. By the way, I just happened to look at the box score of their game. Was that last night?
Yes.
I didn't realize they had 47 guys on their roster in the preseason. I mean, I will tell you, I'm not a preseason. They had so many guys play last night. It was unbelievable. They seriously had like 20 guys play last night.
Okay, that's not 47.
It's called, what do you call that? You know what? I was elaborating.
Okay.
It's a little white lie, but you get the point. I was like, I'm literally going down the box score. I'm like, how many freaking guys are on the bench? You got to have the coaches that sit in the second row. They had to go to the third row because that's how many guys you had in the second row. Gosh. Anyway, that's my rant. That's my rant on preseason NBA basketball.
Yeah. All right, defense. This was not great for a while.
No.
And I think it caught the Patriots by surprise because you want to know, okay, what was the game plan? And then what did you miss? Here's the game plan. As I saw it, there were 3 tenets. Number 1, anytime Taysom Hill comes out, we don't know if he's going to block or if he's going to throw, or if he's going to catch, or if he's going to run. We're going to match with base personnel. Okay, we want to stop your run game. We do not want to give you a lifeline if you're Spencer Rattler to lean on Alvin Kamara. Base personnel, big guys, we're playing them out there. And they only played base personnel, which is 33% of the time, as well as their 3-corner nickel, because that's how they want to play 3-corner nickel. The second tenet, we're going to play a lot of man coverage because we know this is a quick, efficient passing game. Stay on schedule, success rate. We don't even care if you're the Saints, how many points we score. We just want a very high success rate. That's how they play offense. And here was the third. And I don't know if it was misguided, but it was certainly the most ineffective of these 3. They're going to blitz Spencer Rattler, and they did, to a 50% dropback rate in the first half because he is slow to recognize blitz pressure before the snap. And you saw this in the first play, where obviously he burned them 53 yards down the right sideline. Carlton Davis comes in for a corner blitz. 3 plays later, Craig Woodson says hello, coming off of a safety blitz. The Patriots blitzed 10 times, 7 of them with the defensive back. So this is from depth, it's disguised, and Rattler had a 50% success rate versus man-to-man. Same thing versus the blitz in the first half. Technically, the Patriots did not blitz in the third quarter when Zach Core, there's got to be a name there, like the banquet play caller. You know, the banquet Zach.
I got you, yeah.
He called 1 blitz in the third quarter, and it was negated by a illegal contact or holding penalty or whatever. But basically backed off of the core game plan and then came back to it twice because there's a delicate balance between, okay, we know all this stuff about Spencer Rattler and we know all this stuff about the Saints, and this is true. He's not good against pressure. We got to load up, blah, blah, blah. And then the game happens, and everything in front of you is telling you, nah, man, they're great. Like, this is not working.
Yeah.
So he saves it for high leverage situations. It was the Marcus Jones sack at the start of the fourth quarter, gets them off the field. That was third down. And then the last play of the game, another blitz, Marcus Jones coming in, a little bit of pressure, not total pressure, but forces a third down incompletion. So they ultimately got what they wanted. It just took a while and took them kind of backing off to eventually get into it. Because that third quarter was a lot of just 4-man rush, some Tampa, some cover 3, and just kind of to hang back.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints effectively moved the ball for a better part of the game. They've had problems. You mentioned 0 for 1 in red zone, getting on the cusp of the red zone and not being able to do anything with it either. In some ways, I mean, I know the game script was different, but like, what was it, 7 out of 10 drives that Carolina had ended on your side of the field? Felt like the Saints were in that same sort of line, but they were getting points out of it, just happened to be getting field goals and not converting touchdowns. And I got to tell you, I sent this text to you. You're like, oh, spicy. If Chris Olave does what Chris Olave is paid to do, and we both talked to our boy Nick Underhill, New Orleans.football. Great job covering that team. Great site if you're interested in just league and X's and O stuff. He's got great stuff down there. He said Chris Olave is the best player in their team. And we saw it. I think Chris Olave is the best player in their team. Chris Olave had 3 balls hit his hands that if he catches 2 of them, do we have a different game? We certainly have a different script, at least, right? Because it's the butterfly effect, right? You don't know. But yeah. The pass breakup in the end zone by Marcus Jones, that ball off his fingertips. I don't know. Malik Neighbors catch that? Pick a guy. Who your top player, does he catch that ball? That was close and maybe should have had that one. That in a touchdown could have been a big play. Had a huge drop it was a kind of an out cut on the right side. He wrestled with himself on the ball. Throw was a little high, but nothing that he shouldn't have caught. And again, there was another one late where he dropped it. It was he makes those plays. They're talking about getting some explosives. They had a couple in the game. could have had a couple more. I don't know. Like I said, butterfly effect, you don't know. But I'm just saying he had moments where the ball was in his hands and he didn't make plays that a lot of people in the league think he's capable of making.
Different script for sure. I think we can't say how good May was and then go, he doesn't finish that game in a way that he might have with 2-minute drill and kind of kill the clock, go ahead. But the point about Olave is interesting because I think that was the battleground that you're looking and going, if you're the Saints, this is what you want to exploit, right? You always want to leverage your strengths against their weaknesses. And the other part of the game plan that I did not mention that surprised me is Olave starting to get more catches and they're targeting him, especially versus man, which they played a lot more of in the first half than the Patriots did in the second, is they didn't shadow him with Christian Gonzalez at all. And I think the short answer, guessing here, not reporting, not to be aggregated, that their faith in Gonzalez right now, who was limited in the last 2 practices, and his ability just to shut someone down man-to-man is lower than the public consensus, okay? And I think their feeling about Marcus Jones playing man coverage is probably higher than public consensus. And when you watch that tape, they would go, we're right. He had 3 pass breakups. Like in that one against Olave, which he probably still could have caught, but I have to give Marcus Jones credit because he fought through not 1, but 2 pick routes to get up and over that in man coverage and then dove at the exact moment Olave shoots his hands, which is the number 1 sign defensive backs are looking for. Where's the ball coming? My back's turned. I don't know. Look at the receiver's hands. They go out. So does all of Marcus Jones's body parallel to the ground, gets enough of the arm to break that up. So he played well. I would have shadowed a little bit more with Christian Gonzalez because, again, if Olave is not the target in all these critical downs, a lot of these were third down that you just mentioned, and I just did. What else are they going to? You know, like that was it.
Yeah, I mean, Shaheed is a field stretcher, and obviously they hit, that's a guy they look to down the field. I think he had like 1, maybe 2 catches underneath, but like that's not his deal. That's not what they look to him for. I love the Marcus Jones shout out. I'm sure he's going to be on our studs. There's no question about it. We came out of the combine thinking strongly that the Patriots were going to get themselves a new nickel corner. That they, for whatever reason, whatever they saw on tape or whether it was the injury history, they looked at Marcus Jones and said, not for us. Now Marcus Jones is the captain and is playing at this really high level, helped swing a game against Carolina, making big plays. The interception against Buffalo, 3 pass breakups and a sack in this game, like just playing terrific football. And it's like one of those guys, we saw it in person, better than we thought. And then you get into the season, you're like, it's even better than we thought it was going to be. Like that's how it's gone with him. So, he's just had an incredible start to the year for sure.
You know what he is, Mike? He's just a football player.
No, I saw the tweet.
He's just a football player.
He is. People want to use him as a receiver still.
How is that like the height of compliments in this sport? Is you just state their occupation. Like, and this is not a knock on football. It's just the way that like some coach speak, if you just sit with it for a second, because it's just taken, or sometimes it's the way it's delivered is like, oh, you're so right. I'm like, yeah. If you like that's I know what his contract looks like. He's not getting paid to hand out hot dogs. Like this is
you have 68, 69 guys on your roster who are quote unquote football players. That's
but he in the sense though of like this most basic compliment that truly like someone tells you, man, you're a player. You're like, oh, not you're a writer. Like you said that to me. I'm like, that means like I don't suck or I suck less than most people is what you're saying. But yes. Marcus Jones obviously can play offense. I think everyone knows that now. Plays defense and special teams and just the man-to-man skills. Look, again, I would have changed things differently. He played very well. It starts with him. Can I give you another guy who played well?
Yes.
Who swung the game in the fourth quarter, and I have been, I was going to say banging on, but we don't want to start anything else that shouldn't be aggregated. Hammering for poor play. Christian Ellis.
Yeah.
Christian Ellis, he was awesome.
Yep. Tremendous. And I don't know what the correlation is. We talked about this a little bit last week with some more of the traditional 3 linebacker stuff that they've done the last 2 weeks since Devai's been back. Something clicked in his brain. He is playing faster. It's carrying over to when it's he and Spillane together, and you have your normal front, like making tackles in the open field, had the terrific pass breakup, 15, 18 yards down the field, the diving deflection of the ball there. And then the punch out was awesome. I also love the shot of him and Juwan Johnson talking about it. and it'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I knocked it out. No, you didn't knock it out. No, I'm telling you, I knocked it out. And then when the play's over, he's like running off the field, like, I told you. Just a great play. And this is the thing. When I said I didn't get it, you're seeing the flashes of that speed and athleticism. That is probably why when Vrabel and company popped in the tape and said, like, yeah, we want to keep that guy. This is why.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Gibbons doesn't make that play, and he's someone that I was saying early in the Buffalo game, or not Buffalo, I think Carolina tweeted, like, yeah, because Christian Ellis had a terrible opening drive against Panthers.
Yes.
I was like, Gibbons should just be started. Like, I get the athletic discrepancies. He's got better instincts. He's a better tackler. Not over the last 2 weeks. Christian Ellis has been awesome, and he's. Yep. It was funny watching him talk to Juwan Johnson, who I've actually spoken to a couple of times. He went to, you can probably fill in the blank with the college since I'm referring to it. Not a great week for them, by the way.
No. Think about that, man. Like, what was it? 15 days ago, they were ranked second in the country. And then 3 losses, including one that went to overtime. 3 losses later, $49 million buyout of your head coach. And just,
wow. We are in hiding.
Yes.
But no, so very nice guys. And Christian Ellis, too, I want to drop these anecdotes when we can. Like, I talked to him last year for a story. And sometimes when you get guys who do not talk to reporters a whole lot, and they see us in the locker room, but we're not going to bug you, or you just kind of say, hi, how are you? How's the family? We'll kind of clam up and just do the cliche thing. And I'm just trying to get in, get out. I just don't want to do any harm. And he opened up about how at the time, Drake Maye, DeMarcus Covington had really helped him with his overthinking on the field. And you could see it at times, the hesitation or just going with the obvious thing. I'm like, I know you're a smart guy. Why are you falling for this jet motion where, the receiver doesn't even open up to like take this fake handoff? And I wonder if there's something there with him too, where like the system familiarity and all this different stuff, because you're right. He's been a different player. He'll have worse games coming up. This is not permanent, but it's just to say that there is something there. And I was probably a little bit too quick to dismiss him, though granted, his tape before this year didn't like wow you. Like, this was still a bet on traits, and a guy who's also, just a terrific person and hard worker and someone you want in the locker room. It's just eventually like you kind of are who you are, but maybe not.
Well, and to your point about just comfort in the system, maybe like look at Spillane. His first 2 games were bad. That was like you did not pay that guy that kind of money to play that way. In the last 4 weeks, awesome. Tackling everybody, like where he's supposed to be, setting things up, sees things oftentimes before they actually happen. So like maybe he got it 2 weeks earlier than Ellis did. I don't know, but like those 2 guys in particular, as a tandem the last couple of weeks have been really good.
So Jalen Hawkins was out, which meant Kyle Duggar had to play. And I know when Carlton Davis comes in that corner blitz on the very first play, and then they go long, and naturally, I think it was Olave, yeah?
Yes.
Goes by Duggar, or whoever it was. We'll find this out in a second. Everyone's like, oh my God, there's Kyle Duggar. And I'm not saying he had a great game, but for a game plan that was big into man coverage, especially early, the way that they could keep him out of those matchups, which is just to say, hey, play single high, I think worked out very well. And the instances when he blitzed, go back and watch those. He arrives swiftly and with the violence and making an impact, where even just the sight of him flying in, and maybe it's just the aesthetic and his hair's going, and you're just like, oh, okay, this is a little different. This is not Marcus Jones, all due respect. You felt him a little bit more in this game. And that is something you've not been able to say about Kyle Duggar a whole lot, where his impact was felt, even going back to last year, except in an obvious, oh, there goes another guy for a touchdown right by him kind of way. Like that, this was positive. I don't know when Jalen Hawkins will be back. Didn't practice at all last week. But while we're in the secondary or back 7, like we have to acknowledge, because if I'm the Saints, I'm going, yeah, we're going to use all the motion stuff I've been talking about when they're in man and try to get someone on him. The Patriots said, no, we'll keep him safe.
Yeah, I mean, and in the first play, like he just, I think he thought that the ball was going to come out quicker, and he sort of he got flat-footed a little bit. It was almost like he was expecting a 15-yard stop or something, or a comeback or something of that sort, and runs by him. That's just a terrible way to start the game, but to bounce back and the physicality you're talking about, like he knocked a guard on his ass at one point. Like he came downhill, like we've seen him at his best when he's capable of, and really bleep stuff up. He was bleeping some stuff up in the run game. And to the guy next to him, Woodson did the same. several times on run plays, getting up in there, sticking his nose in there and making plays. So that was a good level of physicality from both those guys.
You know what's funny when we do this? Because it hit me as I was filing this, 3,000 word novel to my boss.
The
Like,
opus.
hey, thanks again. Yeah. Like the side of the ball that played worse, you typically find more good stuff to talk about. And that's his defense right now. Whereas offensively, it's just like, oh, the run game and this, and except for Booty and Diggs and May, you're like, oh, this isn't really that great. Like they gave up a lot of yards. Should have given up more points to the Saints. Like why didn't that happen as far as the Patriots go?
Because Marcus Jones made some awesome plays. No, like, I mean, there were some individual plays and big moments. And then like the Saints have struggled in the red zone all year. When talking to Nick, it was like, well, they don't have anybody over 6 feet tall. They don't have like big target at wide receiver. Is that a problem? I don't know. In tight space, I will say the one thing is, like, I thought Rattler played pretty well. Like, if you look at a lot of the numbers, and if, again, different metrics, or you want to go by PFF grade, which you know how I feel about, but like all of them were high. They were all good. Rattler doesn't want to make the mistake. So when he's between the 20s, like, he'll run around, he'll do some stuff. But when it gets in those tight windows, his accuracy is not awesome. And I feel like he just doesn't want to let it rip because he's afraid. And I think you saw in the fourth quarter, in a couple moments where he had to let it rip, those were his worst throws of the game. Like, he's not capable of, or at this point, of unlocking that in his game, or he just doesn't have it. But I think that was part of it too, that played into it. Just in those tighter moments and tighter windows, he's just not capable or doesn't want to.
It was such a good point by Nick, which I don't want to elaborate here, because he was saying Rattler understands he's like fighting for the job. So for an offense that is built around getting numbers advantages and getting the ball out of your hand quickly, and just don't screw this up, and we will slowly march downfield the way that every Kellen Moore offense is slowly marched downfield. I'll just be a cog in the system, and then you can't kick me out of the starting job. So I think that idea of, like, I know what's at stake for me personally is going to affect how I play, which isn't to say selfish. Like, he completes more passes, it's better for the Saints. But it's something where you can see it with coaches who want to keep their job by the way that they maneuver personnel. You play the young quarterback, you do this, or the GM makes a big trade. And you're like, they're not ready for this. They're not a piece away. Quarterbacks, players can kind of do the same thing.
Yeah, and it's funny because his reputation coming out of South Carolina, like,
oh my gosh.
But like, there's a toughness to him. Like, he'll stand in there. Like, he's got the Baker like moxie. The Baker Mayfield like moxie just doesn't have the same, even coming out of college, didn't have the same level of highlight tape as you will of someone like Baker does. But he's got Tyler Shuck. They draft him in the second round. Like, they keep losing football games, even if he continues to play at this level. They're probably going to have to go and say, we have to find out about this other guy, because we know you and you're fine, and you might be a low-level starter in this league, or a clipboard carrier for 10 years, which is a great way to make a living. You get paid pretty well to do that. But like, eventually, if you're not willing to cut it loose, they're gonna cut you loose.
Yeah. All right. We are going to cut loose soon. So here are my last two things here. I think part of the answer to my own question about, okay, why didn't it work for the Patriots? I think Kellen Moore outcoached Zach Core, and like that man-to-man game plan and the blitz pressure, and how they were trying to win and disrupt the timing. It was a lot of space plays. It was out of the hands quickly, picking the right matchup. Sometimes the coverage was also just soft. Like, there's just free access, meaning, the corner's 5 yards or more behind. You just throw it to his guy. And if we pick up 3 or 4, fine. But that's the easiest yards that you could pick up. Callahan, Chason, and Landry factored into the rush plan, where they were sometimes on the same side. And this was good. I had Chason down for 4 pressures. I had Harold Landry for 3. There was definitely stuff here where I don't know exactly what they saw in protection, but sometimes it's a lack of athleticism when you have 2 edge guys. Again, Landry on the inside, Chason on the edge, versus Barmore and Milton Williams on the opposite side. Like, matchup stuff, whatever, was cool. Quiet for Milton Williams, who was sick. 1 hurry for him. Barmore had 1 hurry and a run stuff. And then otherwise just kind of a hurry here or there. Kyrus Tonga, though. My dude. Run stuff, draws a hole, just
could have drawn another one. Yep.
Big smile on his face. The last thing I have, though, is something I've said before, because the Saints didn't do this a ton, but they did it early, which to me says it was a concerted effort. and this was run left at Chason, and they averaged 5.8 yards when they went left. And there were even some instances where the Patriots went to base personnel and they put Landry off the ball and flipped Chason away from the left side and put him on the right. This is right before the Taysom Hill touchdown. And so there was like a little cat and mouse game that didn't sustain throughout the whole game, but you just know teams are going, hey, Chason's a really talented player. We know why he was drafted. We know why you signed him. It's not to play the run. So we're going at him.
Yeah, and they had a lack of personnel, right, with Jennings and Keion White both being inactive. Not that Keion White's playing well, so that's not necessarily a good option at this point the way he's been playing. But it's clear. Like you watch the tape, they're like that. We're gonna go at that guy, and we're gonna move him. He's gonna come too far inside, or he's gonna blow an edge. Like he's someone that can be taken advantage of in the run game for sure.
Studs and duds time.
Pretty easy, right? Booty, May, Ellis, Spillane. I put Pop on there, and I will say Gonzo, because even if to your point, like they're still not throwing at him. Like they just don't. And Spencer Rattler probably not the one who's going to test him, but I think he gave up one catch, maybe.
Yeah. Marcus Jones.
Yes, duh. I mean, you've already raved about him.
That dog could not get out of your mouth fast enough.
That's what happens. You scribble writing down at the bottom of the page. Duds?
Duds. Give me Morgan Moses because I had him down for 4 hurries. Give me Travion Henderson. Again, leaving a yard 0.2 on the table according to Next Gen Stats. Okay. And you argue with them about their process, but I trust them and all their GPS technology enough to mention it to you. And then I don't know. I was gonna put Zach Cord in there and like I kind of get the game plan. It didn't work out. Not saying it's bad, good process, bad result, but I didn't love how easy it was for the Saints,
I was thinking, and I was going to text you at some point during the game, and I held off. Is this the curse of the Callahan column? I'm just saying, you wrote us a nice little feature on Zach, gave him a little love for the job that he's been doing, and then maybe it went to his head. Maybe he put that right. Maybe that was actually, he didn't have the call sheet. He had your story printed out, and he was too busy reading it and wasn't making the proper adjustments.
It's good have been. It's amazing though. That is one example of it just does not matter what you put on the internet. People are going to respond with whatever they want to say, whether it is pertinent or not. I'm like, no one said this is a good defense, but he's gotten better. And you look at the blitz calls, you look at the success rate, like the way that they're handling things. Never mind that Buffalo scored the fewest points they had in a calendar year. And then their offensive coordinator the next day, as you said on this show, was like, yeah, we were trying to like figure out some of their structure stuff that they had never shown before. So no, I don't think Zach Cord should be going to Ken. I don't even know if he's a good defensive play caller. But the first 4 weeks, the way he's picking things up after 5 years coaching defense, hell yeah, he gets a feature, but that might have been the last one.
Son of a gun. I would put the 2 rookies on the left side too. I think Wilson
more than Campbell, I think.
Yeah. But Will had some moments there. Again, I'm holding him to a higher standard. 4th overall pick.
But the man got a win in his home state. He went to Saints games.
Was he crying, by the way? I think someone said he was crying coming off the field. I didn't. I saw a video of him coming off the field. Didn't see that. I don't know.
Good for him though. Good day to be Will.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still feel like we're missing somebody, but I don't really have much more, if at all.
I don't think we are. I think we nailed it.
Yeah. Oh, second half, Josh McDaniels.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you went in on him pretty hard at the beginning.
Yeah.
My boss has texted me. My boss has texted me like 4 times already. Tell that Callahan. No.
92% pass rate out of shotgun. It's not that bad. Yeah, 24 to 26 plays. It's totally fine. Yeah, sure. Walking the onside. We're about to pass. Still open. Anyway, leftover thought or look ahead. You pick.
Look ahead, right? Mike McCoy been named the interim head coach for the Tennessee Titans, who've dismissed Brian Callahan after 23 games, of which he won 4, which is as many games as Mike Vrabel has won in his first season here with the Patriots. Judging from the people I'm talking to in Tennessee, not everyone knew this was coming today, even though Callahan has not been good. and there may not have been a plan already in place, which is why there may have been a delay and why McCoy was named the interim head coach. Amy Adams Strunk, the owner, as typical, will talk to no one. She talked to the team reporter about the Vrabel firing for 4 minutes and 56 seconds, and that was like the only public speaking that she did on that. But they're a mess. I do wonder, and I don't know how you feel about this, but like this does throw like, okay, this is Callahan, this is what he does, this is what his system is, and now you have Mike McCoy, who's a 2-time failed head coach, who I thought retired. Honestly,
I completely forgot about Mike McCoy.
Didn't even know he was still in the game. My bad. Now he's in charge. You're not going to change a ton of stuff. Obviously, you don't really have much time to change a ton of stuff, and you have a rookie quarterback. But like, is there now a little bit of a wrinkle of like, what's the is this more like a week one, the unknown sort of thing?
I think that lasts for a quarter, right? You could have a totally new game plan, and you're going to bench some guys that maybe Brian Callahan liked, and then that lasts for a quarter, and you still got to play your stuff because you can't install an entirely new system. Plus, I think like there's a kitchen sink game, but then there's also I'm trying to install what I want to do and run. And if Mike McCoy thinks this is his audition, you cannot be what's his face who used to go for it on every fourth down and just like live this effort coaching attitude. Guy from high school who is since gone. Anyway, some wrinkles, but I think ultimately that's not going to sustain them. My thought on this is I do not care what Mike Vrabel says this week. That man wants to go down there and rub some faces in some dirt. And it could be 40-3. It could be 40-10. I don't know. I don't think he's going to put Drake Maye at risk against Jeffrey Simmons in the fourth quarter if the game's out of hand. But I think it will be bombs away and beat them and show them, because that relationship at the end with him and Amy was, maybe even non-existent. And part of that is like, look, you have to stay in contact with your boss and have a relationship. So when things go bad, you can talk it out and keep your job. I don't think he did that very well in Tennessee, if at all. But he also went 6-11. At that point, you got to know anything's on the table. They made a mistake. Firing him is to the Patriots' benefit, and I think he's going to let them know it's a mistake. And he wears it on his sleeve, though, so maybe he does cough it up. He didn't do it today, but I just know Sunday, whatever said, that's the goal.
So I went to his press conference today. He was asked the question, and he said, there's going to be a lot talked about it. It's not, it's interesting, I'm sure, to everybody, but is it important for the game? No, obviously you're playing between the lines, and my guy's better than my scheme better than yours. That's what's going to decide it. But I wasn't planning on writing this today. I was planning on saving this, obviously, but he got asked about it because it's obviously a huge story. And I was like, I can't ignore this. So I'm going to quickly send some text messages to former Titans that I happened to cover when I was at the NFL Network. And one who was currently still playing got back to me in faster time than my son gets back to me. Beckett, you're watching, I know, like when your dad texts back.
It's weird he texts me back.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy. And he just said he didn't want to get too deep into it, but his text to me was, Vrabes isn't going to go there to win by 3. He'll want to remind them that they chose wrong, end quote. And it's exactly what you said. That whole thing left a mark on Mike. And I think we saw the way he felt about Bill and some of the Patriots stuff and reveling in the automatic clock runoff off the penalty that him and Stretch came up with before the game, doing to Bill what Bill had done to other teams and kind of cackling about it on the sidelines, just like they decided to throw to Marcus Mariota when the Patriots had thrown to Tom Brady in the game. Brady, by the way, hurt his knee on that play and wasn't right for 6 weeks. So I really hope the juice was worth the squeeze there, Bill. Although they probably won the Super Bowl.
7 years later now.
Yeah, well, whatever. But they threw it to Mariota later in the game, and that was a definitive, our guy's more athletic than yours. Yeah. F you. Yeah. So that's very much in his personality and wheelhouse. And I think that player, who shall remain nameless, who knows him very well, would be right about.
He might be on my list. I mean, your list is way longer than me outside of New England. That probably in New England. But there's someone I want to ask who I think might be straight up with me. It's just, yeah. You know what, too, is going to happen? It'll be all week. Interesting, not important. To which media would say, well, if it's interesting, it is important. That's our job.
Yeah.
Which Vrabel doesn't care about. That's fine. They'll win. I don't care if it's 10. I don't care if it's 20. I don't care if it's 40. And in the locker room, it'll be, oh, he wanted to do this for Vrabel. You could tell he really wanted this. And it'll like the truth will set them free at that point.
Well, think about Stephon Diggs. We just lived this 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
It was like, it's going to be a little bit emotional because I spent time there and I still know the guys there. But then, like, no, it's not personal. It's nothing personal. And then they get him on the field after the game and he's like, it was personal. Then when we get him, like, shortly thereafter, no, it wasn't personal. No, dude, your revelation came on the field and you're full emotions and
staring down the crowd every chance.
Or when you did your Instagram live.
Which, by the way, is not – like, we're calling this out because it's going to happen. Like that, there's no judgment attached to it. If there's judgment attached to it, I applaud it. Man, if we could all go back to the same place that we worked, who fired us, and then sometimes you can't show up and be like, "You made a mistake." Okay, we would all take it. I am rooting for that. It's a good thing. I think it's a cool thing. Also, just honesty is good. So it's not. No one's making fun of Vrabel. I think this is bad.
No, it's like a competitive spirit. It's how certain people are wired. Like, oh, I'll show you. I have no problem with that. I am 100% on board with it.
Yeah. Okay, let me have
it. You had the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. I'm already getting texts about it. Our good friend Mike Reese is like, he thought I said it, so he's like, "What have they done with my friend?" Thinking that something happened to me. I'm like, that wasn't me. That was Callahan. I just said if you're going to take it to that point, like there are a lot of wins available currently when you look at the schedule. That's it. That's not bad.
It's not bad, but you and I converse often enough, well, period, but also about things taken out of context and clips. And like, look, we can all have some fun. I don't know. Whenever I pick up my phone as I just did and I open Twitter, I hope that's not 20 plus, all of them reacting to our good pal Savage Sports or whomever else wants to clip something and post it, because it started with let's get crazy. Like the stakes of them getting a good run game are that you don't have a fatal flaw. You have areas that are an issue. Jared Wilson, Will Campbell, some play calling stuff in the second half of the offense, and Zach Core being a young guy. This is not guaranteeing anything, but like it's get myself in trouble again.
Where's awful announcing? Where's the aggregation? It does include, I'll just say to Amit's credit, our fine producer who's sitting in on the program. You don't.
So he got it. So he did it first.
All you need, well, he clipped it. All you need to make an AFC Championship game, if you really want to get crazy, is to bring that run game up to league average. Then we're not even drinking on this episode. To which I said, actually, I was.
I'm gonna be drinking now.
That was delicious, by the way. That's a party pump from Trillium.
Party Pump, huh?
Yeah. I know. Interesting name.
Just leave it.
Yep.
All right, Amit.
Questions, baby.
This is, by the way, if you were late, but I think I did this when most people were listening. If you got a question, drop it in. Amit will pull it up and we'll answer like 4, 5, 6. If I'm just gonna open my phone now. I want to get this over. See how bad it is. Why wouldn't Reese text me?
Because I think he thought it was me. I think he just saw the headline and thought I was saying it because I retweeted it.
Okay, we're double digits, but this is.
Do you think the Pats could trade for someone like Trey Hendrickson with his bad situation on the Bengals? That is Joey. That's a good question, Joey. Trey Hendrickson walked off the field yesterday, did not finish the game. A back injury, not exactly what you're looking for with a 31, soon to be 32-year-old pass rusher, but his ability as a pass rusher significantly dwarfs anyone that you have on your football team on the outside, on the edge. And so what's the cost? They wanted a first-round pick and a young, cost-controlled defensive player when they were asking for prices on him this offseason when he was holding out. Obviously, no one paid that. I can't imagine he'd get a first-round pick for him, but could a desperate team like San Francisco, who lost Joey Bosa and then lost Fred Warner, who needs a pass rush, would they give up a second for Trey Hendrickson? And then would you be willing to go that high?
No.
Should you be willing to go that high?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Sorry.
A 3, yes, I would think.
They're already making the AFC Championship game without him. I don't know why you need that.
Good point. Well, now you're talking Super Bowl if they do that.
No.
Championship.
The timing and the age piece, and it's all related, right? The age, the contract, the timing for you when you would do this, just doesn't align. Like he is a like you're saying, a team that believes it's one piece away or needs some depth to kind of make a run. This reminds me that we get a question on Twitter before we started, and it was about whether or not Kayshon Boutte, who will be extension eligible at the end of this season, should prepare for some contract talks or should be approached with said contract talks.
If you can get him on a discount. And I don't even know what that would be for him at this point.
Very insightful. Thank you.
No, but like, what are we talking about? Are we talking? Is he an 8-figure a year player now? Is he a $10+ million a year player?
10, yeah. I'm not going much higher than that. Probably topping out at 12 for now. I like where this is going, but again, that dynamic of money and guys feeling like they've arrived, and does that kind of come back, that sense of like, give me the ball? I don't know. And I say that not like I would guarantee things go south with Kayshon Boutte if you gave him, a giant, just cartoonish bag of cash. I just don't know. And that's the thing. When you give out more money than that, you want to know.
He's been more productive. I was just thinking off the top of my head, two guys that signed this offseason. Josh Palmer signed with Buffalo, and it's essentially a 1 year, $12 million deal. I think it's 3 and 36, but I think they could get out after 1 year. De'Ami Brown, 1 year, $10 million, I think, with the Jaguars. Boutte's more accomplished than both of those guys. Which, I mean, not that he's super accomplished at this point, but like based on last year and now with the couple pockets of games this year and the clear relationship that he has with Drake, is that worth, someone suggests, is that worth 3 and 33?
Yeah, that was a Jacoby Myers deal not too long ago.
Right.
Deal. So considering how that's aged for those guys.
Myers is a more high volume player. I don't think Kayshon's ever going to be a high volume guy.
Right, but then there's the yards per target or yards per catch are much longer for Boutte, as you're kind of like downfield, go get it, versus the 6, 8, 12 yards that is the Jacoby Myers experience.
And there's also let's not forget, and he's still a year removed, right, from being actually the extension kicking in, because he's year 3.
Yep.
They're over the cap for next year. Not that can't easily be manipulated. We know that it will be, but like, these are things you have to think about.
Okay. All right. Next mailbag question. Trade for Derrick Henry. Not question. Should they trade for Derrick Henry? If so, what would you give up? We did this last week, right? 2 weeks ago. I was looking up his contract. He's got $11 million guaranteed next year. Yeah. And a lot of this is when certain things trigger, and the Ravens can get off of his contract without much penalty, despite giving this giant extension in the spring.
Yeah, it was only like $2.5 million, right? I
don't think they're going to be inclined, even if the season continues to spiral down into the toilet, to part ways. Someone floated to me Chuba Hubbard today. That was more attractive to me. I don't know his contract status, but that's a guy, when you talk about yards over expected, I believe he's up there. And they have Rico Dowdle now, who's going on. Maybe Chuba Hubbard's injured. Forgive me if I'm missing out on Panthers news, but I like that profile. Like I said, a little bit younger, cheaper, but just steadier than what you've been getting.
Hubbard has an ankle, I think, which I think he dealt with when he was playing against the Patriots a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Is it Chuba or Chuba?
I don't know. I don't have to think about the Panthers for 4 years.
I'm just.
It's a fair question.
I don't know either. I always. That's one of those names I've heard it and then I can't remember it, or no, I'm not bothered to remember it.
If this was a running back on the Vikings or the Packers, I'm like, yeah, I'll spend some more time. I spend some time with them on a Monday night or a Thursday night.
What about Tony Pollard? You're going to see the Titans this week. Pollard's contract, I want to say, was like $10 million a year. But it was short. It wasn't like a 5-year deal or anything. I think it was like 2 and 20 or 2 and 22 or something like that. So you'd be trading for a guy. I think he's in his contract here. I'll look that up.
Dallas wore him into the ground too, like that for that 1 or 2 years. So
he had that, and he had the bad ankle, but I mean he worked you over pretty good last year.
I mean, who didn't?
Then again, so did so did Mason Rudolph.
All right, Ahmed, next question.
I said that was great.
How long? Okay, this is a good one, which is not to dismiss everyone else, but a lot of praise for Drake Maye. We're probably going to do it next week, maybe the week after. Who knows for how long? But how long can Drake Maye keep this up at this level?
I mean, why can't he? I mean, I think we're only just beginning to see him come into his own, and the confidence is growing, and their confidence in him is growing. And yeah, I mean, like I said, 2 weeks from now, if Cleveland still wants to play, if they're still into it defensively, that'll be fun. That'll be a good test. Like, I don't think Cleveland can score. So, you could probably not play your best and beat them comfortably, but like, that'd be a good one. Like, I'd like to see that and that team being engaged and Jim Schwartz wanting to say, like, no, kid, you ain't seen nothing yet. That'll be a good one for me.
He's gonna have a bad game, and I think soon. And that is just the nature of the NFL. It's the nature of playing quarterback. It's the nature of having a 17-game season, and the Bucs will be after that, and Todd Bowles and all the different pressures that you'll have. And frankly, before this week, I know the Falcons were number 1 in DVOA on defense. So like they'll come to Gillette after that Cleveland game and before they go to Tampa, and we might all look it over, talk about Penix versus May, and all this different stuff. And what if it was Bill Belichick who was coming to town, which just would have been delightful as a storyline. Anyway, he'll stumble a little bit and it'll be fine, but that will not dismiss or negate or erase. Just like people talk to, if they lose in New Orleans, does that cancel the Buffalo win? No, we can all watch things and understand that they happened and that the ink is dry and hold it in one hand and whatever happens next in the other. So I don't know how long, but I think what we are seeing, the strength of this sample, the power of it is so strong that there's no part of me that doubts he is going to have an above average season as a quarterback in the NFL. The only question is, does he finish top 14, top 12, or top 10?
Jaden Daniels last year, for all the praise he got, and granted rookie year, but like, he started wire. Unlike Drake, who, sat the first handful of games behind Jacoby Brissett and was in a terrible situation with the coach that got fired and the whole staff got fired, all the stuff. We've been through it before.
Yeah.
He had a 3 or 4 game pocket there where he was, it happens. I mean, he was a little hurt, which, it's part of the package of Jaden Daniels. He's a slighter guy, but like, it's going to happen. Drake might get banged up a little bit, and then the play might suffer a little bit. Like, that's just part of a 17-game football season and having to navigate it. But yeah, I think we've only just begun.
So exciting. All right, let's do one more if we have it. And then we'll get out of here because we have gone almost an hour and a half. This is a pretty straightforward game. Let's see. Oh, another one from
Moravia.
Thank you. If this is the beginning and he gets better, how can we not?
I love it.
Not win the AFC. He's already playing better than 95% of the NFL quarterbacks. So,
are we sure this isn't Mike Reese, a pseudonym?
Yeah, we need to rearrange these letters. What an anagram? What is this an anagram for? Taylor Kyle's 32. Look, here's the thing. Mike wasn't far off when he said that if Chris Olave catches 2 more passes, the Saints might win that football game. And then we're not talking about AFC Championship game, anything. It's, are they going to be in Cancun or are they going to be in Puerto Rico watching that game because their season will be over? My point is, if things get better, which right now the worst rushing offense leaps halfway up to being number 1, which is a huge leap to make, there's enough here to just say we have a plan A and a plan B and a plan C. But as far as what this team will be, like, there's so much more to go and so much more surprise to have. Like, Kansas City beats Detroit last night, and a week ago they lose at Jacksonville, and you're like, is the dynasty dead? Is this over? The Ravens, this whole season, just completely to crap. Yep. No one saw coming. So there's a difference between there's an outline, there's a hope, there's a this, there's a that, versus this will happen. How can it not? Like, that's the NFL. Like, this is why I've come to, I think, hate week 1, because we waited 9 months and then everyone gets so certain about what's going to happen. And this is lost and this is the best. Like, it's still early. We got 11 games to go. So that on anything, aside from the fact that Vrabel already took a team that started 1-4 to the AFC Championship game, and this is a more talented team with a much better quarterback, there's just, everything's on the table still.
Yeah, that's
what
true. It's like, and I'll say it again, when we were talking about that conversation, the schedule is freaking, I mean, it's a joke. And when it came out, I'm not one of those, you got to show me. I want to see them practice. I want to see what happens. I want to see who gets hurt, because it invariably never quite looks like that. Guess what? It looks like it did when it came out. It is Charmin soft. 9 of the 10 teams right now that we'd be picking from 1 through 10, Tankapalooza, 9 of them are on your schedule. And two of them, the Dolphins and the Jets, you played twice. You've already beaten the Dolphins once, but you still have two with the Jets and one more with the Dolphins who have to come to Foxborough. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that are in your favor right now for sure.
Yeah. You know what I just realized, though, is I missed my window on, I think it was the first week of the season, because Brian Callahan didn't know the rules. And I swear to God, I was trying to find an old tweet of mine with the story that I couldn't find in our system because, lo and behold, the Boston Herald does not have the best system. Shocking.
Huh.
And what instead came up, because I just also don't know how to search Twitter, was a bunch of like things that had just been said about Brian Callahan and how he sucks and what a moron. And I filed that away, being like, I have to file this story on deadline, but I would really like just to go through some of these where they omit Brian. You just see Callahan and then some sort of just complete like dunk or dismissal and just cursing him out and just retweet a bunch one Sunday, just for kicks. Now he's fired. I suppose I could still do it now, but we're like too far removed from the firing that I'll never get to just kind of use Brian Callahan as a leaping off point. Though there's enough of that directed at me actually on Twitter, which is fine. But it was just there was such vitriol there when they lost to Denver, and you're like, you could have beaten maybe the best team, or one of the better teams in the AFC if you just knew the freaking rules of the game that you're being paid to coach.
It was your boy Ayamanor. He was in bounds and he didn't think he was. That was an elbow. It was the elbow doesn't count or something. And no, Brian, the elbow does count. So that's all on Brian. But also his stretch, whoever he is, because everybody has one now. His John Stryker. He obviously didn't know it either. So just from the top down, just a debacle.
Do you think that guy's like 5'1"?
Well, isn't that Evan Rothstein?
Oh.
Little fella.
Not working there anymore, doing that same job.
No.
Did a lot. All right. Patriots are at Tennessee. I'm excited to see how they deny that they want to push the Titans bleeping and then do it, I believe, on Sunday. But again, maybe not. Who knows? Cam Ward's actually pretty good. That part is also going to be fun. Number 1 overall pick is going to be across from me on Sunday. All right. Anything you got coming up tomorrow? I think you're musing tomorrow, yeah?
Musing's tomorrow at some point, yeah. I mean, it all depends on Greg's schedule with his game recap, the Bedard breakdown. But that'll be out. And no, looking forward to got a Tennessee person coming on the pod tomorrow on the All 32 pod. So we will have a long conversation about what the hell is going on in Tennessee, and then feelings about Mike Vrabel and what kind of reaction he gets going back to Tennessee, and just how much regret there is in Nashville as he coaches a 4-2 Patriots team that will be favored.
Go on, play.
Yes.
They're on their second head coach and second GM since he was fired less than 2 years ago.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. All right. See you next week.
See you.